we're having a look at the 1988 classic Lady in White on Blu-ray. Shout Factory's slated to release this Blu-ray on September 27th, 2016. Spot got himself an early copy that I've already actually had a look at. I watched this movie last night. Never seen this movie before. I do remember this movie being advertised when I was younger, though. 1988, so it's a relatively old movie. The movie itself, I guess you could categorize as a horror movie, but to be honest, it reads a lot more like a ghost story or like a more spookier family style of horror movie. More like a ghost story. It's almost like something you would expect to have seen on like a Family Channel movie. Somewhat in the same vein, I find, as like The Boogeyman. The movie itself, again, was released in 1988. Is from director Frank Langlogia, which hopefully I've pronounced correctly, the director of Fear No Evil, and it stars Lukas Haas, who is from the movie Witness, and I think he was also in a movie called Rambling Rose. He did a lot of movies back in the 80s. Also stars Alex Rocco, which a lot of people probably remember from him being the father of Joe in Facts of Life. He was also did a voice in The Simpsons, and he was also in the original Godfather. And it also stars Katherine Helmond, who maybe the name doesn't sound familiar, but she was in Soap, and she was also in Who's the Boss. She was Angela's mother, Mona. The movie itself, like I said, reads a little less like a horror movie. I guess you could categorize it as a horror movie, but to be honest, it reads a lot more like a ghost story. It kind of reminds me of a combination of like a Family Channel ghost movie, something you would have seen back in the 80s. Kind of also reminds me a little bit like Christmas Story, because you have the main character narrating what happened to him when he was younger. Let's flip around the back of the case, and we've got the synopsis reading: the ghosts of the dead can't rest without the help of the living in this terrifying horror film that's one of the most intelligent and riveting ghost stories since Poltergeist, claiming LA Weekly. Starring Lukas Haas, Len Cariou, Alex Rocco, and Katherine Helmond. Lady in White is presented here in both its original theatrical release and the never-before-released full-length director's cut. The read-up on the background of the story: Frank Scarlatti lives in a small town with a dark, deadly secret. For a decade, a serial killer has eluded police, and the death toll continues to rise. Then, one night, Frankie gets locked in the school and witnesses the ghost of the first victim being murdered. Now, aided by the girl's restless spirit, Frankie takes it upon himself to bring her assailant to justice. But in a town with no strangers, the killer may be closer than he knows. Let me elaborate on that. The read-up, again, comes across like it's more a very dark horror movie, but to be honest, it's actually not that. It's quite farther from the truth. The movie does have dark elements to it. Of course, some kids are killed, or previous kids are killed, and the ghosts, of course, are now... The female ghost is now helping the main character, the child, trying to find out the mystery behind what happened to her. But to be honest, the majority of the movie feels more like a lighthearted, almost comedic family, not quite a family genre, like a drama, but a family ghost story. It did have dark elements to it, as mentioned before, but again, it does come across more like a very lighthearted movie with a lot of more aspects of the movie playing towards jokes and playing towards a more lighthearted nature. The grandparents, for example, that Frankie lives with, the grandfather is always trying to quit smoking, the grandmother is always trying to get him to stop smoking, and there's a lot of comedy back and forth between him and his older brother. The read-up, though, does sell itself as being a more darker, grittier style of horror movie, but it's really not in the same vein as Poltergeist. Watching it, it didn't feel so much like Poltergeist to me as it did feel like one of the more lighthearted Disney ghost stories that I might have watched when I was growing up. Disc 1 has the director's cut audio commentary by director Frank Langlogia. Again, I'm sorry for mispronouncing that. Introduction by Frank, deleted scenes, behind-the-scenes footage with introduction by Frank, behind-the-scenes photo montage, extended photo gallery, original theatrical trailer. Disc 2, on the other hand, has the extended director's cut, which is actually the cut I watched, and it really doesn't have that much longer to it. The extended director's cut, for example, is 118 minutes. Sorry, the director's cut is 118 minutes. The extended director's cut is 126 minutes. And then the original theatrical cut is 113 minutes. So there's really only about 5 minutes extra that's been added from the theatrical to the director's, and then it's the extended that has about an extra 13 minutes of airtime to it. The inside of the case, you've got both versions. So you've got your extended director's cut, and then you've got your director's cut on the other side. And like other releases from Shout Factory, you have the re-released package label or package insert that they've used, but then you also have the interior as to how it would have originally looked on VHS or in some cases on beta. Would I say I like the movie? I would say I went into the movie expecting it to be darker. I think if you go into the movie thinking it's more a family ghost story, again, something you would have seen maybe on the Disney Channel, I think it's more accepting of the movie being that. If you go in, when you watch it, you don't feel like you've been redirected. I kind of went in thinking it was going to be more on vein with Poltergeist, and it ended up coming across much more lighthearted in nature. It's still worth a watch, and it's apparently, looking it up online, it's apparently got quite a following. A lot of people have been wanting this one release to be, it went out of circulation for the longest time, and the cost of getting the original DVD and whatnot rose exponentially. So Shout Factory luckily has gone in and re-released this. Video transfer and the video quality, having not seen the original, I can't tell whether the video quality has been improved, but certainly by incorporating things such as the director's cut and the extended director's cut can go a long way as well with watching this movie. I can't say I love the movie, but to be honest, I think once I started accepting the fact that the movie was a little bit more lighthearted than some of the other 80s horror movies I've seen, I actually thought the movie was enjoyable for what it was. Again, this is going to be released by Shout Factory on Blu-ray on September 27th, 2016. Today's Blu-ray spot, we were having a look at the upcoming release of Lady in White on Blu-ray from Shout Scream Factory. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Blu-ray spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.